When I was little, my father cheated on my mother, and they separated. He found a new wife, but they didn't get any children. He was never really interested in me. He didn't pay child support. He often forgot to pick me up when my mother arranged meetings with us two. When he picked me up, he often went out with his wife, and I was all night alone in their house. When I was a kid, I had a very dangerous allergic reaction, and I was in the hospital for 4 weeks. I wanted my father to be there so bad, but he said he would only come if my mother would not visit me anymore. At this point, I realized I don't want him in my life, and we only had the necessary contact after this till I was 18 years old. 1 year ago, he got very ill and called me. He said that he now wants to have contact, and I declined. I said that I'm not angry with him, but I don't want to play perfect family with him. I don't think a father is something you can only be when you want. Rather, it's a lifelong job. His new wife called me every single day after this and insisted that I should come. I live like 5 hours away, and visit him, and that he wants to have peace with me. I told her very often that peace doesn't mean that I come and visit. He died 2 months ago, and since then I get nearly every day a text from his wife what a bad person I am, and how I'm an idiot for not granting him his last wish. First I thought it might only help her to get over the pain, but now I'm not sure if it was an idiot move. I mean, he wasn't a dad all my life, so I don't need to play his daughter because he's dying. If I went to visit, he would accept me to be just fine and loving, when in reality, it would only be a lie. So, I don't know. You are not wrong here. He was never a real dad to you, not even when you were very sick. You don't owe him anything. Is it possible the new wife doesn't know the whole story and just your dad's side, causing her to think you're a bad person? As the daughter of a neglectful narcissist, I'm sure the father cast himself in the best possible light. That said, it sounds like from the OP's post that the dad remarried before OP was little, and OP was often left alone while her dad and his new wife went out for the night. Exactly how unaware could the wife be? I swear, narcissists gravitate towards each other. God, sometimes they even manage to produce lasting marriages, as baffling as that might be. Since this woman is continuing to harass OP, even after her dad has passed, I can't help but think that the wife is just as selfish as the husband was. So you are not the idiot. You are not wrong. I'm estranged from my mother and she'd do this too, and there was no way I could go. You didn't owe him anything. You don't owe stepmom anything. He made his choice when you were a child, and he suffered the consequences of that choice, and that's all on him. Block stepmom's number. She's nobody to you now, and doesn't deserve that rent-free space in your head. Visit his child when they were very sick, unless the mother stayed away. Talk about manipulative. You don't owe this man anything. A man who is willing to do this to a child is no father. He didn't even contact you until he was on his deathbed and wanted a clear conscience. You are in the clear. You don't owe him anything, and the wife is just being an idiot. Take care of yourself and stay safe. You are not the idiot. I feel like I might be going nuts and need a sanity check. So husband, 40, and I, 32 female, had what started as a fun chore game, basically to get motivated to do chores around the house. Husband suggested gamifying it. We have a list of chores pinned on the wall, each with certain points. Cooking a complicated dinner equals 10 points. Doing laundry equals 5 points, and so on. It sounds silly, but it actually made it more fun, and we could joke around that one of us was going to level up before the other. Each week, the points reset, and whoever won would get a prize. Now, before, the prize was always something like getting serenaded by the other person or getting a back rub. You know, super low stakes. Then a month ago, husband suggested we up the ante and make it a real prize. He proposed whoever lost would wash the dishes for the rest of the week without earning points. I was hesitant because I felt like it could lead to resentment by the loser, but husband said it would just motivate the loser to try harder next time, and that washing dishes wasn't a big deal anyway. I thought there was no harm in trying it out. It was a pretty close competition, but husband won the first week. He then won the second, third, and fourth weeks too. I like to think I was a good sport about it, though it was a bit hard. While I was washing, husband would sit at the counter eating a snack and gloat, tease me, saying stuff like, "That's right, keep washing." I know he meant it as light teasing, and it was funny at first, but after weeks I found it obnoxious. I asked him to tone it down, and he would for a while, but then start up again. Today things got weird. It all started when I took a photo of the whiteboard we used to track points to text to a friend since she wanted to try. A few hours later, when I looked at the whiteboard in my photo, I noticed my points were lower than before. Now, I've always had serious memory issues when it comes to numbers. I can't even memorize a phone number. So normally, I would almost certainly write it off as my own mistake, but the photo was right there. I didn't know what to feel. When I brought up the photo to him, he looked surprised and then said he probably accidentally touched or erased the whiteboard and wrote it back wrong. I asked him if maybe going forward, instead of relying on the honor system, we could have a Google Doc with the points, since Google shows you all the edits. I presented it as a way for us to avoid accidents. Here, husband became really upset. He asked if I really distrusted him so much as to think he would cheat at a silly game like this, and all over washing dishes. I said it wasn't about the dishes, but being fair. He wouldn't hear of it and said my accusations really hurt him, that I was being controlling by wanting to verify, audit his chores. The more he talked, the more I started doubting myself. Am I the idiot for suggesting the audit? Not the idiot. All you need to say is the whiteboard isn't working and Google Docs is the only way to keep track safely. Easy peasy. But he's cheating in the game and then being a sore winner and gloating. Exactly. He accidentally erased some? Really? I would throw this week out and start fresh next week. After all, you don't know what else might be erased by accident or how many points he's added to his by accident. In my opinion, you should stop the game. It's obvious there's been some sort of fudging the numbers, even if it was on accident, which, doubtful. The point of games is that it should be fun. Are you having fun? OP mentioned in the comments they have a 5-month-old too, which she fully takes care of and doesn't get any points for. He's cheating in multiple ways. You are not the idiot. Yikes, he's playing you. He didn't accidentally erase points on your side only. He has obviously been editing them, so he wins to get out of other chores. If he really wasn't, he wouldn't have a problem doing it in docs. It might just be a silly game, but that's all the more reason to cheat. Because why would he cheat over it? Because he can get away with it, and he still benefits from it. Add extra cruel to cheat by taking advantage of her difficulty memorizing numbers. Possibly he even came up with the idea initially with that in mind. Was he the one who suggested using the whiteboard to keep track? Honestly, I'd make him do it for the next 4 weeks to make things right, LOL. But I'm also a petty witch who would have kept my mouth shut and continued taking photos to see how much and how long he continued it. You have every right to want to document things now because the whiteboard is clearly not a reliable method. It has in fact failed. I'd say that even if I thought his story were true. You are not the idiot. And also, girl, people like to throw around the term gaslighting, but this is literally the textbook definition of gaslighting. He's altering your environment to make you question your reality or sanity. And he's exploiting a known weakness to do it. Gross. I'm 28 female. He is 29 male. His brother is 34. As of last month, my boyfriend lost his job after the rise of cases at his workplace took over. They closed their doors with no definite return date, but from everyone's understanding, it's going to be weeks with the possibility of remote work, but again, no definite. Therefore, I've been pulling more hours to make up for the loss of his income. I have 2 sons as well. My bills run roughly $1,900 a month, and my income is only $2,600. So generally speaking, the extra goes toward food and basic needs. Last week, by the mercy of God, I was given a promotion as well as a $1,500 bonus for being with the company for 6 years. With that said, we had some extra money. Well, I went on break about 30 minutes ago, and when I took off my headset, I heard my boyfriend speaking to his brother on speakerphone. His brother asked him to send over the weekly amount. I eavesdropped and then checked my bank statements, because we have a joint account, and found out that he's been sending his brother $50 to $75 a week. I confronted him, and he said he's been helping his brother out with gas money so he can get to and from work. I said, well, that's the end of that actually, because I'm not supporting your brother and wouldn't even if I could afford it. His response was, I'm not going to just stop helping my brother. He needs me. I immediately went on and turned off access to his debit card and told him, since you want to take my money without permission when I could be using it for food for our kids, you'll no longer have access to any of the money at all. He's saying I'm being ignorant and that it wasn't breaking the bank. I told him I didn't care and refused to turn his card back on. Am I the idiot? We have been together 13 years. All money in the account is money that I have busted my butt for since he has not been working in a little over a month. He started sending his brother money on January 5th, 7 days after he lost his job. He has already blown through the portion of money that was his in our shared account and is now plugging away at my money. He is their dad. The money was both of ours when he had a job, but he still spent much more than me. I should have included originally that his brother has already bled his sisters and mom dry of funds because he takes his paychecks and spends them on various women constantly. He is always going after women who need help, once even offering up his house so a woman who never worked a day in her life could have a roof over her head, which meant that he had to move out because she didn't trust sleeping in the same house with a stranger. So I doubt this money was for gas. This is just a lie he told my boyfriend. You are not the idiot here. He's more concerned about his brother getting to work and back than he is about paying the bills in the household with his children, and he doesn't even have a job. Time to divide the finances completely and possibly the living arrangements as well. You are both idiots here. He's a liar, and you seem to think you have the right to shut off someone else's debit card. What a horrible relationship. Banker here, close your account with him immediately. As an owner or even a signer on your account, he can do everything from turn his card back on, get a new card, or even take all the money from your account without any repercussion. If you are seriously worried about him continuing this, then you need to take your portion out of the account and make a new one with just you on it. As for your overall situation, you are so not the idiot. He has no right to send any money to his brother without talking with you, especially not when you have a family to take care of. I mean, helping your family is good and all, but you shouldn't do it at the expense of your children. You are not wrong. Huge breach of trust. What was he thinking? This is honestly a relationship breaker if he has been doing this behind your back for a while. Who knows what else he could be doing or what other money he has sent people. Don't give him access until he can prove to be trustworthy again. I, 46, have been with my partner, 45 female, for about 20 years. After our daughter was born, I realized that I didn't know a lot of things, but the one thing I did know is that marriage wasn't something I wanted with my partner. I just feel like you meet so many interesting people over your life and have the choice to take a myriad of different paths, and to give up that mindset in exchange for a bunch of government so-called safeguards was not worth it. At least from my perspective, I felt like I was committed to the maximum, and I would want to be committed to my current partner in context of how we feel about each other. My partner, unfortunately, despite initially accepting my beliefs, later started nagging me on and off about it. She's been out of the workforce for 10 years because she lost 2 jobs due to what doctors later discovered was a condition called adenomyosis. She burned a lot of bridges because she was unable to remain conscious at her desk, and her bosses thought she was just lazy. Recently, she started nagging me again because she said she's been trying to get work again with no response to any of her 100 applications, and that apparently terrifies her. Her parents have also begged me to marry her so she won't have to worry about what they believe will be an eventual midlife crisis. Anyway, my daughter goes to an Episcopal middle school. The community there is kind of insular and gossipy, and everybody seems to have an opinion about everybody else. My daughter came up to me on Friday very upset. She asked me point blank why I didn't want to marry her mother, if I would leave her and her mom for a new family. I could not believe her mom stooped that low on the marriage question, so I blew up, saying she had no right to get involved with adult business and that I had the right to do what I agreed to with her mom. My partner denies setting our daughter up for this. After speaking more with my daughter, she said that some of the girls at school said they overheard their parents saying that I would marry her if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to. Also, that he does want to get married, just not to her. I didn't expect my marital status to be a topic of scorn and conversation, but apparently it was. I feel bad for assuming the worst, but am I the idiot for also believing that my daughter shouldn't be nosy about adult business either way? I feel like my partner's attitude about this topic is rubbing off on our daughter nonetheless, and I wish they'd realize this family situation is great. You are the idiot. Did you seriously think that your daughter would never even think about why her parents aren't married when she attends a religious school? She's a young kid. And then instead of going, "That's a personal question, what makes you bring that up?" you went full meltdown on a young girl. Gross. Let's repeat that so OP can read that again. Come on, man, use your noggin. Your child's associates and families are certainly going to be discussing your marital status. Middle schools are already rumor mills. Combine the two, and voila! It's not your daughter's fault the subject's coming up. So apologize to your daughter. You are so wrong. Wow. There are a lot of valid reasons to not marry, but keeping your options open in case something better comes along is not one of them. You've been with this woman for 20 years, and this is how you think about your relationship? It's too bad this woman settled for you, because she could probably do a lot better. And yes, you are the idiot. Of course your daughter was going to wonder why her parents aren't married. You should not have yelled at her. And it doesn't matter that you thought your partner orchestrated it. What kind of screwy logic is that? He's reluctant to tell his daughter the truth, which is that he wants to be ready for a quick, clean getaway in the event someone more interesting comes along. It's hard to spin that in a way that satisfies a child, worrying that her father will leave her and her mom for a new family. Now, I'm not going to start out by saying I'm one of those crazy vegans who force their views on others and think meat eaters are the devil. I've been a vegetarian for over 10 years and don't plan on ever eating meat again, but I understand and respect why others do. I have a certain friend. Let's call him Jake. Jake is a meat eater, which has never bothered me. He's been over to my house several times, pre-global issue, and he always brings and cooks his own food, and I would make a separate dish for myself. This all changed one time. We went to IHOP together, still pre-global issue, and I got pancakes. He got a couple of things, including bacon. Halfway through my meal, he grabbed mine and rubbed his bacon on them, saying that I would love the flavor if I just tried it. This made me extremely upset, as I refused to eat it and had to pay full price for half my food. He's always been respectful of me before, so I decided to let this pass. Last time he was at my house, I made myself salad and spaghetti. I split the spaghetti in 2 halves, and he brought some type of beef crumble or something to add to his. I got up to get a second plate for myself, and both portions had the beef. He once again used the "you'll love it if you try it" line. We ended up fighting and he left early. Then we obviously didn't see each other for about a year. Now he just got his vaccine and I've had mine for a couple of weeks, so he asked if he could come over for dinner and a movie to catch up. I told him he could, but I wouldn't allow him to bring any meat like he usually does, so I can eat a full meal around him. He gets angry and calls me an idiot and says I'm trying to force him to be a vegetarian, and he wouldn't do it again. He just wanted to see if I'd try the meat. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but I also don't want to force my views on him, and he promised not to do it again. You are not the idiot, clearly. Your problem isn't that he's eating meat. Your problem is that he's trying to sneak meat into your food. Frankly, I don't know that I would ever leave my food unattended around him, for fear he'd hide some meat in there. I don't understand why people get so worked up about other people's diets, but what he did was beyond disrespectful. This. If he thinks you'd love it, then he can offer you some of his bacon. What he did was incredibly disrespectful. The problem was compounded when he suffered no consequences, so of course he did it again. I'd have him pay for my meal, because I wouldn't have gone hungry just because he's an idiot. Good on you, OP, for finally standing up. You were far too forgiving in my opinion. You should still expect an apology. You are not wrong here.